Hello, I'm Agent Ghost and welcome to the archives. I just want to say, I've brought you an easy Heartbreaker tank build. Now here's the optimized version. Welcome back. Oh, wait. Just a sec. There's no time for a joke? Just gotta move straight to the build breakdown? Alright. Sounds good. Enjoy. Starting things off with the specialization, I'm using the Technician specialization for the extra skill tier it provides, as well as the linked laser pointer, and the Artificer Hive, and we'll get into the weapons right now. So my primary I'm using is the Kingbreaker for the talent perfect flatline, and we'll get into that in just a sec, but I'm using damage targets out of cover because it's the highest multiplicative damage in the game right now in the regular attribute. You can pause and take a look at my other core attributes. Now moving on to the talent perfect flatline, which amplifies our weapon damage by 20% to pulsed enemies, and we'll go over what pulsed enemies look like in just a sec. But after 2 kills, applies pulse to the next enemy hit. That doesn't really apply, but wanted to read that as well. And the reason why that doesn't apply is because of the weapon attachment, the linked laser pointer, and the technician laser pointer pulses targets at which it is aimed. And we'll go over that right now, but real quick, you can pause, take a look at the rest of the mods if you want to copy and paste. Now to show off what a pulsed enemy looks like, boom, right there, that outline, that red outline that's above the target right there, that means they are pulsed. And once they are pulsed, we are getting that flat plus 20% weapon damage, which is just crazy. Now, moving on to my secondary, I'm using the rock and roll shotgun to build stacks. You can use, if you don't have it, the AC-12 shotgun, that is the non-named variant, or the sledgehammer, that is another named variant of this shotgun. Any of them will be absolutely incredible. You're just using it again to build stacks. I have damage targets out of cover, as well as main reason why I'm using this one is for the talent perfectly extra, which is plus 50% magazine capacity. So that gives me 30 magazine with my shotgun versus 20 on the other 2 variants. Again, even with 20, it is absolutely incredible. So don't worry about that. If you don't have it, you can only get the rock and roll from the Dark Zone. It's a Dark Zone exclusive. So when the targeted loot in the Dark Zones are set to shotgun or any named cache, like on Countdown, you can get named caches on through Countdown. You have a chance to get it from there randomly. So that's how you get this shotgun. There are the mods if you want to copy and paste. Moving on to the pistol, I'm using the TDI card custom for the extra skill tier it provides, and later on when we're on the abilities, I'll explain why I'm using it more in depth, but just know I'm using it for the extra skill tier. I have plus 15% pistol damage in the core attribute, and the talent finisher, which use whatever talent you want. It really doesn't super matter. I'm just using it for the extra damage. There are the mods if you want to copy and paste, pause and take a look. Now, before we get into the gear set, I just want to say very quickly that please use all my build videos, like every single one, as just a template. And I want to encourage all the viewers that want to make any changes to absolutely do any changes or make any changes they desire. I think that please have fun and enjoy. But if you want the exact results you see, then just copy and paste. So moving on to the starting gear, I'm using the Coyote's Exotic Mask, mainly for the talent pack instincts, but we'll get into that in just a sec. After the core attribute, I have plus 15% weapon damage, and the regular attribute, I have plus 6% crit hit chance, 10.8% crit hit damage, you can get maxed out to 12%, and a plus 6% crit hit chance mod. You just throw in whatever highest crit hit chance mod you have. Now, I'm using this amazing exotic, this is one of my favorites in the game, for the talent pack instincts. You and all allies gain a bonus based on the distance of the last enemy you hit. And we'll go over the distances right now. From 0 to 15 meters, you get plus 25% crit hit damage. So what that looks like is, if I hit 15, from here to there, we get plus 25% crit hit damage. Now from 15 to 25 meters, we get plus 10% crit hit damage and plus 10% crit hit chance. So if I were to switch this to 20, now we're getting plus 10% crit hit damage and plus 10% crit hit chance. Sorry, not 20, but plus 10% crit hit damage plus 10% crit hit chance, which is just crazy. And then, whoops, at 25 plus meters, we get plus 25% crit hit chance. So anything above, we can go over here, or past this, anything past this, so we'll just hit 35 so you get a better idea. Anything over here, we get plus 25% crit hit chance. Another really amazing thing about the Coyote's Mask is that each of these distances can actually be stacked with one another. So say if you have Coyote's Mask on and 2 teammates have Coyote's Mask on, if one is at 0 to 15 meters, they will provide the buff for you and all allies around them of plus 25% crit hit damage. And then say if you're in the 15 in between 15 to 25 meters, you will provide them and allies plus 10% crit hit damage and plus 10% crit hit chance on top of them giving you the plus 25% crit hit damage. And it's the same for the last thing too. If you have the third person with Coyote's Mask stand 25 plus meters around you guys away from the enemy, all your distance that you have to be away from again is the enemy, they'll give themselves as well as the allies and you plus 25% crit hit chance on top of the plus 25% crit hit damage and 10% crit hit chance and damage. It's just crazy. So that's why I'm using the Coyote's Mask. It's just crazy. In the holster, I'm using the best in slot holster, Precario's holster, and I'm using it mainly for the regular attribute plus 15% weapon damage, and I'll go into more detail in just a sec. We'll go over the brand set. So it gives us plus 10% skill haste, which is just amazing for all of our skills. That just helps. And then in the core attribute, I have 170,000 armor. In the regular attribute, I have plus 6% crit hit chance. And then boom, this is why this is like a meta pick, is because it gives us the equivalent of a red core in the regular attributes of plus 15% weapon damage. So I can have an armor core and still get even more weapon damage, which is just crazy. Now, moving on to the gear set, I'm using the Heartbreaker gear set, the star of the show. And we're going to start things off with the Heartbreaker backpack. So in the gear set for the Heartbreaker backpack, it gives us, for having 2 pieces of the Heartbreaker gear set, it gives us plus 15% assault rifle damage and plus 15% LMG damage. The assault rifle damage is amazing. We're not using LMG, so it doesn't apply. For wearing 3 pieces, we get 15% weapon handling, and what that looks like real quick is if you look at any weapon and go down to weapon handling, sorry for the going up and down, it will affect our accuracy, stability, reload time, and damage drop-off, which just helps. I mean, it's just great to have. And then for the 4-piece, the star of the entire thing is the 4-piece Heart Stopper. And headshots apply pulse for 5 seconds. When doesn't really apply because we're using the link laser pointer, but when hits on pulsed enemies, add a stack of 1% bonus armor and 1% weapon damage to pulsed enemies, up to a max of 50 stacks. So if you get all 50 stacks, you'll get 50% extra bonus weapon damage and plus 50% extra bonus armor, which is just crazy. And I'm using the backpack, well, for the talent cold, and we'll go over that right after the attribute. So in the core attribute, I have 170,000 armor. In the regular attributes, I'm using 10.4% crit hit damage. You can get that maxed out to 12%, and then I'm using a 12% crit hit damage mod. Just throw your highest crit hit damage mod that you want in there. And then for the talent cold, increase total bonus armor gain per stack of Heartstopper from 1% to 2%. So bam, right there, our bonus armor from Heartstopper just doubled. It's just crazy. So that much more survivability. Moving on to the Heartbreaker chest piece, we've already gone over the gear set bonuses. So in the core attribute, I have 170,000 armor. In the regular attribute, I have 4.9% crit hit chance. You get maxed out to 6%. In the mod slot, I have plus 12% crit hit damage. Just throw the highest crit hit damage mod you have. And I'm using the chest piece for the talent max BPM, which increases the max stacks for Heartstopper from 50 to 100. So bam, just again, we doubled our armor, bonus armor, which quadruples it. And then because we're doubling our stacks, it also is now doubling our weapon damage we get from getting 100 stacks now instead of 50. It's just crazy. These two in combination is just absolutely insane. The Heartbreaker backpack and chest piece. Moving on to the Heartbreaker gloves. I have 170,000 armor in the core attribute and 5.9% crit hit chance. You can get maxed out to 6% in the regular attributes. In the Heartbreaker knee guards, I have 170,000 armor in the core attribute and 11.1% crit hit damage in the regular attribute. You can get maxed out for 12%. Now, let's move on to the skills. I am using the Crusader Ballistic skill shield, and you can pause and take a look at the stats if you want, but we were able to get tier 6 on our shield because armor cores, like we have in all of our pieces of gear except for Coyote's Mask, affect our shield. So we're able to get up to tier 6 as well as the extra skill tier that we have in Technician Specialization. So we're still able to achieve tier 6 in our shield and have technically 2 red cores from Precario's holster and Coyote's Mask. Now, what the tier 6 gives us is plus 60% active regeneration, plus 250% shield health, and plus 40% holstered regeneration. There are my mods if you want to copy and paste. Now let's go over to the Artificer Hive, and I will show off what building stacks and the abilities right after this, and then we'll go over the stats for the final gameplay. Now, for the Artificer Hive, you don't have to throw it out or anything. You just keep it on your back, and essentially what it does is if your shield were to take damage, it would regenerate a portion of your shield health to make our shield that much more tanky and survivable. There are the mods if you want to copy and paste. I just want to make one note that the top mod that gives like health and everything does affect the Artificer Hive, and the bottom right mod, like range, affects the Artificer Hive, but I have not found a mod yet that affects the left bottom side of the Artificer Hive. So just throw in whatever you want, it really doesn't affect it. Now, to show off what that looks like is, hang on, I'm gonna set it to named enemy target. There we go, and put it right in front of us. So if I had an enemy right in front of me and I pull out my shield, boom, you see that purple flash and the sparks everywhere? That means my Artificer Hive went off, and if my shield was damaged, it would have regenerated a portion of its health, and then boom, that's how quickly it comes back before it regenerates again. And I want to point out that skill haste is disabled, so that is the actual time. Here is a named enemy. I'm going to show off what building stacks looks like when it's pulsed. So look at my armor just regenerating, and how you can look at that is in my UI, the bottom right corner of my UI, you see the broken heart with a bullet into it. When that's maxed out, that means that I have max stacks. And then right next to that is the Artificer cooldown when it's going to regenerate, so you can keep an eye out for that. So when I have max stacks, then I just switch to my Kingbreaker and then just finish off the enemy. Like here's a named target with max stacks, boom, melted already, just crazy. One more time, just because that is so satisfying. Boom. All right. Moving on to the stats, and then we can move to the final gameplay footage. So I have 111,000 weapon damage, 48.8% crit hit chance. You want to aim for as close to 50% as you want, because again, with the bonuses we can get from our distances on Coyote's Mask, you want to be able to take benefit of the 15 to 25 and 25 crit hit chance you can get from there. So that's why I have it at 48.8% crit hit chance. Then the rest I have 101.3% crit hit damage, 64.6% headshot damage, as well as 21% health damage and damage targets out of cover. Or I have damage targets out of cover as well. Moving on to the offensive, I have 45% all weapon damage bonus, 45% assault rifle damage bonus, and plus 15% pistol damage bonus. We've already gone over the gear talents and brand sets, so moving on to defense, I have 1,661,000 armor. In the bottom left corner, you can see 1.7 million armor. That's rounding up to the nearest 100,000, but there's the exact number if you want it. 318,000 max health, and that's pretty much it for the stats. I want to say, everyone, please take care, be safe, and enjoy the rest of the video.
System going die.